Good to have you with us, everyone. Welcome to the broadcast. Mike Corey alongside former UMass and Chattanooga head coach Matt McCall. Good to be with you here. Conference play kicking off here in the new year. What do you think with these two here today?
Well, you're talking about two of the best programs in the Atlantic 10 since the 2012-2013 season. VCU ranks first in winning percentage, while Davidson ranks third. Both teams did lose 3 starters from last season, but both teams do have their point guards back in Foster Lawyer and Ace Baldwin.
Matt McKillop is the head coach for Davidson now, taking over for his father, Bob, who was there for 33 seasons. He's 9-6 so far on the campaign for the Wildcats as they come off a big win at home against Loyola Chicago a couple days ago, 80-57. Mike Rhodes now in his 6th season. His team's coming off a loss in which they were trailing pretty big there at Duquesne a few days ago. They lost 79-70. What do you got for the temperature of both coaches coming into this game today?
Well, I think both coaches want to get off to good starts in this game. You look at both teams, both coaches have talked about that. When they've gotten off to bad starts, they've struggled to find ways to win. So look for both these guys to try to get off to really good starts in this game.
Our officials today, Sean Hull, Tim Comer, and Kellen Milliner. And always a tough place to play and win at here in Richmond, Virginia at the Siegel Center. I know you had an opportunity here prior, and it's a tough environment.
A tough environment, nothing better than these noon tips, though, Mike.
Starting 5 for VCU. You talked about Ace Baldwin. How about the guy on the right there, number 30, Brandon Johns, the transfer, as this shot goes up, no good by Watkins.
Yeah, coming off one of his best games, 22 against Duquesne in his last time out. Athlete, can block shots, can really beat people off the bounce from that power forward spot as well.
And you just saw it right there on the block, Brandon Johns for VCU, and this ball is out of bounds off of Davidson.
You know, Mike Rhodes has talked about it too, Mike, just in terms of he's in a completely different role than he was last season. He's playing a lot of minutes, he's starter. They also need his leadership for this young VCU team.
That's a good point, and I don't think people recognize that when you just bring in transfers or even new freshmen or whatever it may be, how their role has changed. It's not like, oh, this is a great player. It's like, well, his role is definitely different.
He's in a completely different role, just with the amount of minutes that he's playing, and he's their go-to guy a lot of times, that kind of second option outside of Ace.
Starting 5 for the Wildcats. I know you like Sam Menenga there, right in the middle, number 3.
Just a physical front court player, second team all-conference. He can beat you in a lot of different ways and really back you down in the post. Look for Davidson to try to exploit that matchup.
Well, he just got to take it away on the inside. Missing on the jumper is Baldwin for VCU. Still no points here in a minute gone by in this first half.
Mike Rhodes talked a lot yesterday just in terms of we're going to make mistakes guarding Davidson with their motion and the screening action. We got to make up for those mistakes by flying around.
This is Reed Bailey for Davidson on the take. No. Tipped around. Offensive rebound, Huffman. As Grant Huffman was able to control it. Now it's inside for Menenga. Battling in on Jaylen Deloach. Menenga, and he's fouled.
It's a difficult matchup there for Deloach. Menenga just using his size and his physicality. Nothing was really explosive there, but he took his time. He was backing him into the post and got to his spot, able to get himself to the foul line.
How about these matchups here, Matt, over the last couple of meetings? The road team has won each time, and it's been a 2-point game.
And you go back to last season, too. Davidson was in a 15-game win streak, and VCU was able to snap that at Davidson. And it's interesting, too, yesterday, talking to Coach McKillop and guys like Menenga and Huffman. Obviously, Foster Lawyers has so much experience, but his young team and those guys being thrusted into leadership roles, they've always had older players on the team, and now having to rely on those 2 guys in leadership roles.
Lawyer, Menenga, and Grant Huffman are the 3 captains for Davidson. 0, 3, and number 5 out there in red for the Wildcats. 1 of 2 at the line for Menenga. Jayden Nunn works it inside for Brandon Johns. A lot of spitting there, and he misses. Rebound, Foster Lawyer.
Great defense by the freshman there to hold his ground against a veteran player.
Desmond Watson now for Davidson, who's in the starting lineup for the 2nd time this year. Got his first start in the last game, and here's Menenga right to the hole.
You can see it's a focus to try to go to him early, try to loosen up this VCU defense. Coach McKillop was concerned about the pressure, but getting the ball inside the Menengas early is a positive for Davidson.
Johns for 3, that's no good, and it's rebounded by Huffman. You saw the numbers on Menenga, averaging almost 16 a game. He's got the first 3 of this game here for the Wildcats.
22-7 versus Loyola Chicago.
Now he wants a 3, and he got it. Wow, 6-0 Davidson, all thanks to Sam Menenga.
Yeah, like we said, we know what Foster Loyer can do, but they're trying to go at St. Menenga early in this game, and it's really worked out for their offense so far.
VCU is 0 for 4 from the field here in the early going. 3 minutes gone by, still without a point. Watkins, he got it stripped by Loyer. And he's got a guys ahead of the pack, and it's Huffman. And it's rejected. They're going to call a goaltend.
Yeah, going back to the last time VCU played, that game versus Duquesne, it was really taking care of the basketball. Mike Rhodes talked about it yesterday, too. If you look at it on the year, Mike, they got a negative assist-to-turnover ratio as a team, and they can't have live ball turnovers just like that lead to easy baskets for Davidson. We know how good VCU is defensively, but they got to take care of the ball on offense.
Watkins was the one that got back there on the block, but was called for the goaltending. They bring in David Shriver now off the bench for VCU as Watkins misses on the runner. And it's Menenga that clears it out. Here's Loyer. Huffman sets up a 3 ball. That's no good. Another offensive rebound. Reed Bailey. Watson gets by Nunn, gets the bucket. It's 10-0 Wildcats, and Mike Rhodes has seen enough. Timeout for VCU.
We talked about getting off to good starts, and that's exactly what Davidson's doing.
Packers win, they're in. Lions win, they need a Seattle loss. Here's your A-10 standings as we welcome you back to Richmond, Virginia, and where these two teams are at right now.
Well, you know, obviously, you look at seeing VCU's 1-1 and Davidson 2-1. Don't sleep on St. Bonaventure. Everyone was talking about everything that St. Bonaventure left, but Mark Schmidt finds a way to win games come conference time. But it's interesting to see, obviously, 16 straight years, the A-10 has gotten more than one team in the NCAA tournament. I'm not saying they can't do that this year, but someone's really got to win some games and separate themselves from the pack. Is it a Dayton? Is it a Bonaventure? Obviously, we've known Davidson and VCU have always been right there, and we know how talented of a team St. Louis is, but we really got to see someone separate themselves here and extend their lead in the league standings.
I agree with you about the Bonnies. You and I will be there next weekend.
Bully in New York.
Bully in New York, yes.
Looking forward to it.
Yep.
You know, everyone was so consumed with what Mark Schmidt lost, and he lost 99% of his scoring, but he finds a way to win games come January and February, and looking forward to that one next week.
Yep, he's a great teacher of the game up there. And when he brings guys in up there, they come to play basketball, right? We all know it. There's not a ton going on in that city, right? You just come there, you play basketball, you're geared down, and he's got him playing well yet again. The foul was on Reed Bailey here for Davidson. At the line is Baldwin, and VCU's finally on the board here. 3 minutes and 54 seconds into this game.
Sometimes when you're struggling scoring, finding ways to get yourself to the foul line, especially an elite level player like Baldwin, gives them an opportunity to set up their press as well.
That's exactly right. They haven't really had a chance too much of that here, and that's what VCU likes to do. Here is Foster Loyer. How many big shots did he hit last year, and continuing to do it this year, you know, for Davidson. What a pickup they got from him out of Michigan State.
Well, here's something interesting, too, Mike, is you look at last year's team, and Coach McKillop talked about this yesterday. They had so much three-point shooting out there on the floor that Loyer didn't have to rely on so much on his scoring, and he talked yesterday still running that motion offense with all the screening, but trying to put him in more pick and rolls to kind of free him up and get his offense going.
Good point. Zeb Jackson got called for the foul for VCU. Loyer's pass, it's intercepted. That's Baldwin.
One of the best on-ball defenders in all the Atlantic 10, always at the top of the standings in steals.
On the take to the hole, got it.
Yeah, you said it. Right when he can get himself to the free throw line, everything kind of calms down for their offense, and it gives them an opportunity to set up the pressure. This is what they want to do. They want to try to speed Davidson up in this game.
Foster Loyer, he's checked by Zeb Jackson right now for VCU. Desmond Watson into traffic. Loyer. Tough shot. Rebounded by Baldwin.
Well, you got to credit VCU's defense on that one, just keeping the size and the length on Foster Loyer, not giving him any space to operate.
That was Nick Kern that time on the D, and he takes it in, and it's a blocking foul on Davidson, and Kern is going to shoot free throws.
just inside the halo there. But aggressive drive, and again, giving them an opportunity to get themselves to the free throw line. You can see just a little tense in the home game, Saturday game versus a very good Davidson team. Guys are a little bit nervous, and VCU's now settled down and starting to play some basketball.
Foul was on Watson for Davidson as Kern heads to the line here for VCU. But you know, the start that Davidson got on, Matt, it's so important, like as you talked about at the beginning, because VCU's always going to kind of go on a run, you feel like, here at home, right? They get the crowd behind you. It's that, where are you at as an opponent when they go on a run? Are you up 10 or are you down 10 and then all of a sudden the game's over?
No question, and I think that start for Davidson was huge. Even just to give Coach McKillop's young team some confidence, like, hey, we're playing in a great environment. It's a Saturday conference game on the road. Settle in and play some basketball right now. I think that start for them was huge.
Yeah, because here's what we're talking about. VCU's on a 6-0 run right now. They've climbed their way right back in it. Still a 4-point Davidson lead. It's Menenga working it in on Johns. You think maybe a travel, no call, instead he gets the bucket.
What a tough finish, and he backs himself all the way down from the three-point line. It's just a difficult player to guard for VCU, just with how strong and physical he is.
Baldwin thinking about the three, now he puts it up. It hits.
Getting himself to the foul line has got himself going. That is a difficult shot. You can't say that's bad defense by Davidson. That's just a big-time player making a big-time play.
Three-point game, 6 minutes gone by, first half. David Skogman is in, number 42 for the Wildcats. Here's Lawyer to the hole, gets a step on Kern. High arcing shot is good.
We highlighted both those guys in the pregame. It's going to be a fun matchup to watch, but you can see VCU's trying to keep size. That's just a tough finish there by Lawyer.
Little push up, and Baldwin fights Kern on the back door, and he can't convert. Connor Cochera on the rebound, number 23 for Davidson, who had started all season until the last two games, now coming off the bench, giving them an offensive spark. He almost throws it away.
Coach McKillop talked about him yesterday as well. Just, it's not a punishment that he's not starting. We're trying to get him going offensively. That's why we're putting him with the second unit. Maybe an opportunity to get him going.
An illegal screen on Menenga.
We talked about it. There's no ball screen there. That's just one-on-one offense and a tough shot by Baldwin. Here you see Lawyer driving down the lane, getting it up over Kern's length off the glass. Big-time finish.
Five-point lead for Davidson. They have led throughout. They scored the first 10 points of this game. 7 minutes gone by first half in this Atlantic 10 conference matchup. Wildcats 2-1 in the conference, VCU 1-1. Shriver for three. Got it for the Rams.
Oh, Mike, you talk about Shriver. You're talking about a guy that is a 41% three-point field goal shooter. He's just struggled up to this point in time, but it's only a matter of time before he makes them, and just like he did right there.
The lead is 2 now. They're going to call an offensive foul. And it's another moving screen here. Sean Logan this time is called for it for Davidson.
Davidson's such a physical basketball team, and how they want to play on offense, it's a lot of screening action and motion. Coach Rhodes talked about it yesterday. They're not going to switch the screening action. Some teams you see play against Davidson, they try to switch it. And Mike Rhodes says they're not going to do that. And listen, there's going to be illegal screens in this game. They can't call them all.
I was just going to say, you and I were talking about this before the game. They've already called a couple here so far, though, on the Wildcats. They got 4 turnovers early on. Baldwin misses on the 3, rebound Watson.
Well, I think, Mike, that's a big stat to pay attention to. We look at the end of this game. Which team turns the basketball over less? Who has more points off turnovers? I think that's something to pay attention to throughout the course of this game.
Ball's inside now to Skogman. Gets a step in front of Kern, can't score it. Fight for the rebound. We got a jump ball here. And it's going to stay with Davidson when we come back. Good action in the early going here. 8:05 gone by. It's a 2-point game in Richmond. Back in Richmond, Virginia. Davidson leads it by 2 here. 11:55 to play in the first half. Mike Corey and Matt McCall. All right, what do we have here so far?
Well, I think obviously VCU settled in and Now we're defending at a high level. Their defense is so good. We talk about their ranks in the Atlantic 10, but really in the entire country, they're 54th in the country in total defense. And Mike Rhodes talked about it yesterday. Guys, we're going to make some mistakes on the defensive end. Davidson's such a good offensive team. How do we make up for those mistakes? We make up for those mistakes by flying around and playing hard.
Here's some of the numbers right now. And you see it, steals per game. That's 17th in the nation for VCU, averaging 9.3 a contest.
How about this, Mike, too? We know how good of a defender Ace Baldwin is. He's always been at the top of the league standings in terms of steals. Jayden Nunn is actually leading the team in steals up to this point in time in the season.
Yeah, Nunn's got 28 coming into this game here today. And you had said it earlier, when they get a bucket and they're able to set up that press and try to steal a possession or two, that's how they've been able to get right back in it here. 14-12, it's a 2-point game.
Obviously, VCU wants to utilize their depth. You've got 9 guys that have seen action before the under 12 timeout to try and wear this Davidson team down.
And a shot clock violation as we come back from the timeout. Scopin did not get it up in time, and Coach Rhodes says, all right, here we go. Chance to take our first lead of the day if they can knock down a 3-ball.
How about Nick Kern there, too, even after that defensive possession, just fist pumping, excited that his team was able to force a shot clock violation. This VCU defense is tough.
Zeb Jackson's got it for the Rams. Shot clock's at 5 for Jalen DeLoach. Nice spin.
Whew. Tough finish. We talked about Menenga's finish earlier. Spinning back to his left hand here. Think about this too, Mike. He was in foul trouble versus Duquesne. That was a big deal for VCU because prior to that, he had 6 straight games in double figures.
That's a good point. It was not a great game for him. Just 2 points, 2 rebounds, and you said he fouled out 10:47. That's all. He played just over 10 minutes in that last game.
He's such an important player for VCU. When he's in foul trouble, they could really struggle.
Shriver, look out from deep, and VCU's got the lead.
Mike, we talked about him. A career 42% three-point shooter. It was just only a matter of time before he saw the basketball go through that. He was after practice yesterday for at least an hour getting extra reps. And another guy that's in a different role than he was in last year. Division II player, transferred to Hartford. He's on his last year here, and I think sometimes guys that end up on the third school, they're in their last year, they can start to think about what's next or what's my next stop or where am I going after this, and it can kind of be a little bit hard to just go out and play. And good to see him make some shots here early in this game.
Well, no doubt. I mean, he's out of Hartford. He had 80-plus three-pointers he made last year. Previous year, he hit over 100 threes, so obviously he can knock it down.
Well, last year, he led the America East with 88 three-point makes. When your power forward can stretch the floor like that, it just makes your offense that much better.
And another offensive foul. It's happened again here for Davidson. It is Menenga this time who's going to pick up his second. That's not good news for them.
That's not good news for them at all. Now they're going to really have to rely on a young front court. But I think that's something to pay attention to. We're at 3 offensive fouls right now, which with 10 minutes to go in the first half is a pretty high number. You can see Coach McKillop's over there and wants to plead his case for his team in terms of screening. But it's what they do, and like we've talked about, there's going to be a lot of physicality in this basketball game, and credit VCU right now for handling it.
7 points off turnovers for VCU. Off the 6 Davidson turnovers early on. We played halfway through this first half. That's a traveling violation on Johns. That's the 3rd turnover for VCU.
Well, you can see Mike Rhodes there. He knows Davidson has a young front court. Menenga's on the bench. He can try and go inside to Johns in that situation and attack that young front court.
Foster Lawyer. Got a foul on the floor here. It's on VCU.
You know, Mike, Zeb Jackson is another guy that he started 5 games when Baldwin was out, transferred from Michigan, went to Montverde, great program, played for Kevin Boyle down at Montverde, one of the best prep school coaches in the country, and you know, still new role, trying to figure it out, new school. Did have 16 points versus Pittsburgh, but you know, he was big when Baldwin was out. He's another talented player that VCU needs to try to get going.
I love this stat here with these 2 teams. Think about the consistency, okay? Look at this graphic for a moment here. There's 7 teams in the nation with 21 consecutive straight winning seasons. VCU actually has 22. I mean, these two teams in this game here today that you're watching, that's impressive.
That is extremely. Look at the other teams on that list. You're talking about Duke, Gonzaga, the best teams in the country. Just goes to show you how important, big time these two programs are.
Shot clock violation as Watson did not get it off in time for Davidson. 7 turnovers as they trail it by 3 here. And this crowd is really into it.
Well, we talked about VCU settling down, and now it's kind of flipped, and Coach McKillop needs to get his team to really settle down here, execute their offense. VCU's doing a great job of speeding them up, not allowing them to run any of their stuff, and just credit their length and athleticism. It's causing Davidson some problems right now on offense.
It's an 8-0 run currently here for VCU as a long jumper goes up and in by Zeb Jackson.
He's a talented player, like we said. He's just in a different role. He's got to try to get himself going. A step-back jumper on the baseline, that's a difficult shot.
10-0 run Rams, a 19-4 run after they were trailing 10-0 to start this game. The foul here is on Watkins. Let's go back to the last play.
Well, you're talking about he's gone off the bounce, dribble to his right hand. He's a left-handed player. We call those tough twos, and if you're Matt McKillop, that's what you want VCU shooting, is a tough two on the baseline. Big-time shot there.
Yeah, really. What are you going to do about that?
That's good defense. You'll live with that all night.
Foster Lawyer finds Skogman at the top for 3. That's no good. Reed Bailey, his hand got it on the offensive rebound. Watson for 3. That's no good. The scoring drought continues, almost 4 minutes now without a point here for Davidson.
I think if you're Coach McKillop, too, how long do you leave Sam Menenga over there? If this thing gets to probably 10 points, you may have to come back to him.
Watkins misses there, but it's still a 10-0 run here for the Rams over the last 4 minutes and 20 seconds and counting. Lawyer cannot change that. Rebound Watkins.
Coming down in transition, VCU, you can't keep backing up, especially when he gets across half court. You got to go out there and attack him so he can't get that shot off.
Wide open for 3 is Watkins, no good, and that's going to be a foul over the back on Jayden Nunn, and that'll be his second for VCU.
We know how good Foster Lawyer is. You can tell even on that last shot coming down in transition. That's a good shot for him. Much like we talked about in terms of Ace Baldwin finding ways to get himself to the foul line. Look maybe for Davidson here to try and put him in some ball screens, and maybe he can turn the corner and get himself in the lane and to the foul line.
You and I were here yesterday watching a 2-hour-plus practice for VCU. I mean, they were all over the floor, right? And they're doing it here today. This is how they play.
This is exactly how they play. And like you said, to get back cut there, Coach, it's going to happen. But how do we make up for that? We make up for it with our effort and playing really, really hard. But Davidson runs their stuff so good that you're going to give up a basket every now and then. They're not going to pitch a shutout versus an offensive team like that, or anybody for that matter, but just make up for it with your effort.
That's kind of the first time it's happened, though, here with under 8 minutes to play in the game. So Reed Bailey finding Watson for the easy 2. And right back the other way is Watkins draining a 3 for the Rams.
Well, you're talking about, again, another guy coming off an ACL tear. To see a talented player in a big-time freshman season for him as they force the turnover there, but Watkins, another talented player, and love to see him get it going from behind the three-point line. What was really special for the entire Davidson program is it's no secret why Steph Curry is who he is and what he does. Coach McKillop talked about, they saw him work out at Davidson when he went back to get his degree, and the players got to watch that. In fact, both the men's and women's teams got to see just how hard he pushes himself in an individual workout. And you know, as a young player, as a young college player, you see one of the best players in the NBA. It's no secret why he's doing what he's doing.
Well, and he also said that what's so impressive about him is he's obviously one of the all-time greats, is that he cares about the interaction that he has with individuals. Doesn't matter who it is, and it makes you feel special. You know, that's pretty cool.
He said it when you're around him. You don't feel like you're around one of the best NBA players to ever play the game. He's engaging. Like I said, he really cares about his university. And Matt McMillan, he got the support of Steph early on when Bob decided to retire. Steph had Matt's full support.
Back to action here with the Wildcats, trailing 22-16. They try to force it inside. Skogman, he was well defended, and here comes Jamir Watkins. Baldwin thought about the 3. He got it knocked away by Lawyer. Bailey, short on the jumper. Nunn's got it.
Both teams a little sloppy right now, these last couple offensive possessions. But again, Davidson's got to find a way to take care of the basketball. It's been the turnovers in this game. come back to the last time out. VCU's got 9 points off those 8 turnovers. They've got to value offensive possessions. They've got to do a much, much better job of taking care of the ball. And going back to Coach McKillop, he talked about this yesterday. We asked him about taking over for his dad, who's a legend, and he talked about these other coaches that have at these schools taken over for legends. He said, I don't think about it much. I just kind of go out and do my job, and I thought that was interesting that he said that, and kudos to him.
Baldwin knocks down the jumper. Yeah, I think once you kind of get into the season, right, it's almost like you told me beforehand, your walk from the locker room up to the court before the ball is finally in the air, you got a lot of nerves going, right?
You got a lot of nerves.
You're hit it.
Once that ball's tipped up in the air, I used to always settle down, but he said, I don't think about taking over for a legend that much, and that's a tribute to him. He's focused on the job. He's got the support of the alumni, like we talked about with Steph Curry. He's got the support of the fans and really his team, and that's big time for him.
Shot clock here at 2. Lawyer puts it up. No. Reed Bailey, another offensive rebound, and this time he converts.
A talented freshman, played at Brewster Academy up there for Jason Smith, one of the best prep school programs in the country, and they rely on him a lot as a freshman to come in and this level of a game, an Atlantic 10 game, and start. They're going to need him with Menengo on the bench.
Athletic family. Father and mother both played at Pitt. Here's a nice jumper again from Jayden Nunn.
I don't think that's bad defense. I think that's a difficult shot. He stepped back on that one and rose up. VCU's making some tough shots right now, which is why they've been able to go on a run.
What a pass from Lawyer to the streaking Huffman for the 2 for Davidson.
Talked about it. You're not going to play a perfect game on defense if you're VCU. You just got to continue to try to make those effort plays. But great pass, but terrific player in Lawyer.
Brandon Johns now back inside here for VCU. Nice hook over Skogman.
We said it with Menengo on the bench. VCU's going to try to exploit that matchup and go inside to Johns, just like they did there.
Skogman is fouled by Jameer Watkins for VCU. His second. Free throws coming.
Baseball when coming off the ball screen here. Nunn catches, doesn't shoot the first one. He puts it down and takes a step back 3. That's a tough shot. I don't think that's necessarily bad defense by Davidson. Just a terrific play.
Yeah, Matt, 4 players now have hit threes for VCU, and they're 5 of 8 from three-point range. Conversely, Davidson 1 for 4, and that's kind of their game. The Wildcats put up a lot of threes. Not as many as last year, and they're not hitting as many as last year, but they're going to try to get going in that department.
Well, you look back to their last game too, Mike. They scored 80 points in that game versus Loyola Chicago. We're 3 for 11 from 3. You see teams score in the 80s. You look down at the stat sheet, you think they've made 10, 11, 13, 15 threes, and that wasn't the case the other night. And Coach McKillop talked about it yesterday. Last season they had so many weapons that could shoot the ball from behind the three-point line. And they don't have nearly as many this year. Young team, but they don't have nearly as many three-point threats out there, and that's why you see some of their percentages down.
And you lose guys like Hyunjun Lee and Luka Brajkovic. I mean, those are tough, really good players. How about Shriver? Again from deep. Another 3. And Davidson unable to convert, and Shriver's got it. Now a 3 from Baldwin.
If that one went in, Mike, the roof may have came off.
Yeah.
But it's great to see a guy like Shriver. We talked to Coach Rhodes yesterday just about him. He struggled shooting the ball up to this point, but it's only a matter of time. I've said it before earlier in the broadcast that he's going to get it going, and he's doing that now.
He is not struggling today. He's a perfect 3 for 3 from three-point range with 9 points. Watson falling down. They reverse it up top to Lawyer, who hits a 3. Finally, they needed that.
You can't lose him. VCU got caught in some rotations there and a little bit late getting back out there to Lawyer. You can't lose him. All he needs is a crack, and he gets that space. It's going up and a lot of times going in.
Fast-moving, fast-paced first half. 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. 7-point VCU lead. Take away. Here we come with Watson. Keeps it and scores it.
Coach McKillop talked about Watson yesterday. He injected him into the starting lineup, and he's a guy that they're really, really high on. Want to try to find ways to get him going, but doing all the right things and putting him in the starting lineup to reward him for that as well.
This is an important little mini burst here by Davidson. It was a 10-point lead for VCU, their largest of the game, 32-22. That's a 5-0 Davidson run right now.
It's a 5-0 run. I think these next 3 minutes for both teams, Mike, are huge.
Shriver again. He can't be stopped.
He's on his way. That 88 number he hit last year. You can't lose him. The scouting report says he's shooting less than 30%, but you got to go back to his previous years because he's playing like that now.
Must have been hearing us talk about Steph Curry coming back from the break there. And he said, oh, yeah, let me show you some three-point shooting of my own. It's unreal. 4 for 4 from the outside. Watson for 3. And no good. Nunn's got it.
Got to find him again. Find him again coming down in transition. May have a heat check here.
He does it again. That's an air ball. Oh, man.
Oh, we're talking about it, though, Mike. 88 makes last season. He led the America East Conference in three-point shooting. He's fully capable, and he's doing it tonight.
Inside the Siegel Center in Richmond, Virginia for this Atlantic 10 Conference matchup here today on USA. Mike Corey, Matt McCall. What a first half, and what a job from Shriver. 4 of 5. He was 4 for 4 until he put up the heat check, as you said, on the last possession.
Mike, I told you the heat check was coming, too. I knew watching him run down the floor, but coming into the game, and I looked at the stats and talked to Coach Rhodes yesterday. He was leading the team in three-point field goal attempts, shooting 28%. I look back at his numbers from last year. I was like, well, it's only a matter of time before this guy gets it going.
For a moment, he thought it was NBA Jam, you know, where you go on fire and then you can just shoot it from anywhere. And
yeah,
it goes in.
He's heating up. He's heating up.
It was impressive to watch, though. He's really helped VCU out to this advantage here now, 35-27.
Well, when you have a power forward that can stretch the defense like that, Davidson's not a team that wants to switch 1 through 4, and that's why you're seeing him able to get open. They're not switching. Look for them to adjust that defense and possibly switch him to take away those threes, but that's why he's been able to get open.
The younger generation will get the NBA Jam reference, don't they? I mean,
great game.
Okay, all right.
Great game.
Here's Lawyer coming off the screens. You're talking about it. Has it now deep on the left side. Trying to get by Nunn. Clock is winding down. A lot of dribbling. Lawyer somehow sneaks through, and they're going to call a traveling violation. So
I was just about to say, Mike, just great individual defense by Nunn there. You can see Lawyer's trying to wheel and deal and get himself in there, and he stayed disciplined. He didn't reach. He didn't come out of his defensive stance, and that's great on-ball individual defense by Nunn.
10 turnovers in this first half, but a huge problem for Davidson. The reason why they're trailing. Here's Nunn missing a 3. Lawyer's got it.
It's something that you know Coach McKillop's going to talk about at half. If they can get that corrected, great pass here by Lawyer, then they'll be right there.
Huffman kicks it out to the corner. A 3-ball no good by Coachera, and it's rebounded by Skogman. Or, excuse me, it was by Shriver that time for VCU. Baldwin, no look, Kern.
Great cut, great pass. Timeout by Matt McKillop, but just as he's coming off Baldwin, probing, getting himself in the lane, hits him on a back cut.
Ties VCU's largest lead of the afternoon so far, 37-27, 10-point game here. Minute 21 to play first half, Matt.
Well, I think obviously if you're Davidson, this is a big 2-minute stretch here for both teams. You want to find ways to have some momentum going into the half. Davidson the other night versus Loyola Chicago had 47 points in the second half. Not sure if they can do that versus this VCU defense tonight, but try to find a way to get some momentum going into halftime. And if you're VCU, you just got to continue to do what you do. Rely on your defense, have your defense create some offense for you. And again, they want to go into the half with some momentum as well.
Yeah, Johns knew at that time. He got called for the blocking foul. That's going to be his second, a little over-aggressive that time for VCU. And it's going to be the 7th team foul, so free throws coming here, a 1-and-1 for Grant Huffman.
Offensive possessions here for VCU, these next couple possessions coming down. Just want to make sure you execute your offense. You take care of it. You've got a 10-point lead here at home. Don't need to do anything fancy. Value possessions, take care of the basketball, and make sure you're getting shots up at the basket for the next minute, 13 seconds.
And you saw Mike Rhodes a moment ago there kind of talking over to Johns about, hey, yeah, get up on him, just don't invade that space, right? And I thought he had some really good teaching moments yesterday in practice where, you know, just simple defending, especially with VCU or Davidson, who likes to go those back doors. When a player for Davidson puts the ball over their head, he said, get your hand up in there and try to defend that. You stay low, and he fires it right over your head for an easy basket.
He talked about crawling into their space, right? Without fouling, you got to crawl into their space. No unaffected shots, no unaffected passes versus Davidson offensive team. That's where they're so good. They're such a good passing team. That's why they can win games without making threes, because of how well they pass it.
Under a minute to play in this first half. Baldwin, nifty dribbling, and he hits the jumper, and he thought he could foul too.
Put him in that middle pick and roll. I used to call that snaking. He snakes it back to his right hand. He gets right to the Atlantic 10 over for a pull-up J.
Baldwin's got 11 points, one behind his teammate Shriver with a game-high 12 on 4 or 5 shooting from three-point range. VCU shot 54% so far in this first half, and again, getting his hands into the passing lane is Jayden Nunn.
No unaffected passes. That's exactly what the active hands, so unaffected shots or passes.
Johns takes it in.
Go back to that Duquesne game. Early in the game, Coach Rhodes put him in an action where he was able to drive it from the perimeter. He's such a mismatch problem for power forwards because of his ability to put it down on a deck.
Fans rising to their feet here. The single center as Lawyer dribbles it off his leg out of bounds.
It's getting loud in here, Mike, right before the half.
All right, 6 seconds here. Here we go.
Obviously, you want to try to get it across half court as fast as you can to get something towards the basket, maybe get a foul. You never want to settle for a long three-point shot. Can he get in the lane and make a play?
Well, here we go. And he did not get that off in time. That was Banks, Josh Banks that time. But VCU is psyched with a 12-point lead the way they played, 41-29. We go to the studio now for the halftime report. Here's Ahmed Fareed. Back in Richmond, Virginia, Mike Corey and former UMass and Chattanooga head coach Matt McCall with you here today. There is Ace Baldwin on the left and David Shriver on the right for the Rams. Matt, what a job they did in the first half and combined 23 points.
Well, look at Shriver here, and he got himself going from the three-point line. Okay, short closeout there. He gets one off there. This second one coming down, trailing the play. Now he's feeling pretty good about it. Then they put him in the pick and roll. He sets it, pops back, then fills behind, knocks one down here, and then, Mike, look at this one. He makes this one from the logo. This was the heat check before the heat check.
Awesome first half for him. And Ace Baldwin doing similar things as well.
Ace, this first shot here is a difficult shot. This is just a big-time player making a big-time play, and then they put him in a ball screen. He's got active hands. He's so good on-ball defense, and here he comes down in the ball screen, finds a way to get himself down the lane. Felt like with Ace getting himself to the foul line early in the game, when VCU was struggling offensively, kind of got him going and got their whole team going.
VCU, and there's a look at the numbers for Shriver and Baldwin. They're 8-1 this season when leading at the half. They started this game 0 for 6 from the field. They were down 10-0. And then after that 0 for 6 start, they hit 15 of 21, 71% to take over and have this 12-point lead as we get set for the start of the second half. And the 12 Davidson turnovers not helpful for them in that first half as well. Coming up right after us, we've got UMass and George Washington, game 2 here today on USA at 2 o'clock Eastern time. UMass 10-4 on the season. GW 7-8, both 1-1 in conference play. That's coming up after we're done here in Richmond.
You're talking about two of the best guards in the league, and Noah Fernandez for UMass. So good. He was so good in their last game. And then James Bishop, he just finds a way to score there for GW. So looking forward to seeing that matchup as well.
VCU to start with the ball here to begin the second half today from the Siegel Center in Richmond, Virginia.
Talked about the turnovers, Mike, for Davidson, but another big thing for them in that first half was no Sam Menenga for a large portion of that half. He's back in now to start the second half, but they really missed him on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, it's a good point there. He had 2 fouls and had a sit, and Baldwin right back to work, picking up where he left off. Game high 13 points now.
He is so good. They put him in a ball screen. He drives it in there, gets all the way to the other side of the rim, and finishes with a strong hand. Terrific play there.
And Matt, you can see it. They are just hounding Foster Lawyer today. Always 2 guys that seem like they're swarming him every time he touches the ball.
Well, you look at the stat sheet and you're saying, man, Lawyer had 5 turnovers, and as they go right back to Menenga, they're going to try to get him going. That's what they were having success doing early on in the game when they were up 10-0. But Lawyer had some struggles, but you got to credit VCU's defense. They're putting different defenders on him. We talked about the length, the size, the athleticism they put on there. He just really hasn't been able to get a crack, and that's no discredit to him. That's a credit to VCU's defense. It's been outstanding on him.
Yes, for sure. Jalen Deloach picked up his 3rd personal foul for VCU, and he's out, and David Shriver is right back in.
something versus Duquesne. Deloach being in foul trouble, we talked about it earlier, really hurt VCU in that game. You know, Ace Baldwin didn't have his best game. When Ace Baldwin plays well, VCU plays well, and that's not to put pressure on him, and he likes that, and he knows that, and I know he wasn't happy with his performance in the last game, and he's got it going tonight. And really, not just offensively, he's been so active on the defensive end of the floor, which makes him one of the best guards in this league.
Right. We saw Deloach going out, super frustrated right now with the 3 fouls, played 9 minutes, and then he only played 10 minutes in the last game and fouled out. So it's been a little bit of a struggle for the last game and a half for him.
But you'd like to see a guy like, when you see Shriver come into the game and he's playing so well, hey, this is about winning this basketball game. This is a conference game at home on Saturday afternoon. Got to cheer on your teammate right now, and that's what winning teams do. They celebrate each other's success.
Yeah, pick each other up. Here's Brandon Johns on the spin for the basket.
Timeout here by Coach McKillop, but we talked about Brandon Johns. We know how good he is on the perimeter, but he's able to take it inside as well with a big-time finish to extend this lead. This Atlantic 10 with just such terrific guards.
Well, you're seeing 2 of them here in this game that you just mentioned with Lawyer and Baldwin. We got the other 2 in Bishop and Fernandez coming up right after us with UMass and George Washington, and you're absolutely correct. And I love watching Yuri Collins play. I know St. Louis has been struggling here, but I mean, he's one of the most exciting players to watch the way he passes the ball.
Hey, you put him in pick and rolls, and he just picks people apart. He always seems to find the open man, and you'd love to see a guy like Javante Perkins, who was so good before he got hurt, as Menenga with a tough finish to his left hand. But you know, you look at Javante Perkins for St. Louis, he had that knee injury. Some had him on draft boards, and clearly one of the best guards, not only in the Atlantic 10, but in the country. And you'd like to see him get it going here in conference play, because just such an outstanding player right before he got hurt. And a big reason why Yuri Collins has all those assists.
Right. I feel like St. Louis every single year has had to deal with injuries and never had their full complement of players. And then you talk about Perkins, maybe he's not back 100% or not what he used to be, and that's got to hurt the cause a little bit as well.
You talk about St. Louis, I think this VCU team has dealt with the same thing.
Right.
They've had injuries. It seems like every year they've had a season-ending injury as well. So, you know, Jaron McAllister is on his 3rd ACL tear over there on VCU's bench. So it's just something that's part of the game. But you know, you'd like to see these kids be able to finish this out, because St. Louis is an outstanding team.
Here come the Rams now with Ace Baldwin as they have a 12-point lead. Inside Johns, and he is fouled by Reed Bailey.
They put Ace in the ball screen over here, really in a spread situation, and he comes off. He's so good at finding guys on rolls, much like he did there. When you put guys in spread pick and rolls, the ball handler's got so many different things he's got to look at to be able to find that open man. And Ace is not just a scorer. He really does an unbelievable job of setting his teammates up as well. To
your point about what VCU has had to go through, let's go back to last year, right? You lose Bones Highland to the NBA. NBA player, okay? Ace Baldwin misses the first
Not just an NBA player, a really good
Unbelievable,
one.
Right, exactly. He's killing it there. Ace Baldwin missed the first 8 games of the season, and amazingly so, coming back from a torn Achilles that was last May, and he got back in December. So that's amazing. But you had him out. Watkins had a torn ACL, so he was gone for the year. And McAllister with an ACL tear, he was gone for the year. So what a change there. And they still, you know, were battling. They finished 22-10 and went to the 2nd round of the NIT.
Yeah, it's a credit to Mike Rhodes. It really is. And I don't think people really understand just, you know, even going back to the COVID times and the COVID years. And I know we're still dealing with COVID, but, you know, when you're playing games with no fans and, you know, his team makes the NCAA tournament, they don't even get to go play. And just how difficult and challenging that is for him and his staff to manage that, and all the injuries they've had as well. It's a credit to him and his coaching staff.
Oh, what a shot here from Watkins. We were just talking about him, and he knocks down the 3.
When you miss a whole year of playing, it takes some time to get your timing back, your rhythm back. Take enough time to even all the way into conference play, and he's a talented player. It's great to see him get it going a little bit here today.
Menenga for 3. Can't do it. Rebound, Watkins. Yeah, I mean, Watkins was cleared for live action in the beginning of October. Okay, so not a lot of time, and now he misses on this 3. But, yeah, it takes a while to get back into it.
It takes a while. In that first play, you want to go down the lane and take off. And how does your knee respond? It's more of a mental game at that point. So it's a difficult thing to do, and you can see Davidson, they are trying to go into Menenga. They really missed him in this first half, and He's got 2 easy buckets in the second half. He's just such a physical player. It's defensively puts you in so many binds because he just backs you down and gets shots off.
Shriver right back where he was in the first half, knocking down threes.
They put him in a wing pick and roll, and Davidson's not going to switch. So when the ball handler comes off, they're putting 2 guys on the ball, which gets Shriver open. He's wide open for that shot.
Lawyer is out of bounds on the sideline as we have substitutions here in this game, and it's back to a 15-point lead for VCU. It ties their largest of the day. Shriver is 5 of 6 from three-point range.
Here, Nunn comes off the ball screen. Davidson commits 2 people to Nunn in the ball screen. It allows Shriver to pop back, and man, a 3-point shooter like that, that's target practice for him. It's like he's in the gym, nobody in the gym, shooting on that gun, getting extra reps up. Season high 15 points today.
And that leads all scorers in this game. Baldwin's got 13 for VCU. Menenga's got 14. As you said, they're making a concerted effort to get him the ball on the offensive end, but they're on D right now as Nunn has it.
You can see Shriver's trying to set that ball screen again. Let's see if Davidson switch. They don't. He's got another one.
Same thing. Shriver again. And it's an offensive rebound by VCU and Toby Lawal. Nice job there as Baldwin goes back to Nunn. Nunn for 3. Got it.
They're making them all over the place, Mike, but you can see they wanted to go back to that action and put Shriver in the wing pick and roll. I think Davidson's got to start switching here so he can't just have target practice.
I was going to say, Matt, how is that happening 2 plays in a row like that? I mean, he's hit 5 threes already today.
Well, you want to stick to your defensive principles. They're not a switching team, but sometimes in a game, you've got to be able to adjust. It'll be interesting to see coming into this timeout, will Davidson come out of this timeout and start switching Shriver in ball screen?
Mike Corey, Matt McCall back with you here from Richmond. Matt, break it down for us. Why is Shriver getting so wide open on these 3-point attempts here today?
Well, we talked about it, Mike. Davidson, their defensive principles, they don't want to switch, so they're committing 2 to the ball handler. When you set the ball screen and you commit 2 guys, with how the floor looks, there's no one there to make that extra rotation if you're going to switch, and that's why Shriver's able to get wide open.
So Shriver has hit 5 of 7 threes. He just missed that one right there, but we illustrated that to show that's the exact same situation that they keep going with the ball handler, and he's wide open for 3s.
Oh, it's going to be interesting to see if Coach McKillop coming out of that timeout, if they do end up switching now defensively with him, just to not allow him to pop back and make 3s.
Right, I get what you're saying. Why not just with him, as opposed to like changing your entire defense.
Right.
He's on fire today, 5 of 7. From 3-point range with 15 points. And now they get a steal. The Rams do, and then Davidson's going to get it right back. Huffman. Nice.
A finish going to his left hand, but you even going back right now and that last play, steal, then turnover layup, that may be able to settle Davidson down and get them going. They've just seemed out of sorts offensively, but again, that's a credit to VCU's defense.
Shriver gets a step, tries to take it in. He's shut off by Reed Bailey.
Think about this too, Mike. Going into this game, VCU was 31% from the 3-point line. 31%. Now, they ranked 11th in the country, and this is something Coach McKillop talked about. They do an unbelievable job of getting to the foul line. They ranked 11th in the country in free throws attempted. He said, hey, we can't foul them and we can't let the basketball go to the middle of the floor, but I don't think he knew Shriver was going to come out and bang home 5 threes.
Exactly. Spadone was called for the foul for Davidson, his first. Now here's a 3-ball and Jayden Nunn.
They're going in from everywhere. Nunn catches it on the wing. Just a simple ball fake. Step to his left off a simple ball fake. Davidson lacked some discipline defensively there, left their feet and allowed Nunn to get a wide open 3.
Nunn has hit 3 threes today. He's 3 of 4 from 3-point range. And it's now a 19-point advantage for VCU. Under 14 minutes to play in this second half. Huffman gets it back. Menenga for 3. He got a good look, and that's in and out. Bailey somehow again gets it. And the foul line jumper is good by Spadone.
We'll go back to that last offensive possession by Davidson. Menenga was calling for the ball inside the lane, didn't get it, and stepped out and shot that 3. He wants to get it down there. That's where they've had success offensively in this game, is getting him the ball in the post.
Jackson looking inside. Lawal's got it for the easy 2.
You know, we say before the game, Lawal was out here 2 hours prior to this game. He started one game this season, but he was out here 2 hours prior to the game, putting himself through an individual workout. You could tell he wants to be a great player for this VCU team.
Yeah, what a find by the Rams there. It was J.D. Byers, assistant coach, that kind of found this guy. He was only playing hoop for a couple of years as Menenga scores it. We're talking about number 10 for VCU right now, and Toby Lawal from England, and then went to Lee Academy in Maine.
Lee Academy up in Maine, and he started a game this season for him versus Jacksonville. Young front court for VCU outside of Jones, because yesterday, even after practice, the entire front court stayed and went through individual instruction.
Look out, it's Nunn again.
Who's going to make more in this game, Mike? Is it going to be Shriver or is it going to be Nunn? Both of them got it going right now from behind the three-point line.
You had just said it, 32% from three-point range on average this season. Try 60% today, 12 of 20. And it's the largest lead of the day here at 20 points for the VCU Rams. Huffman on the fake gets the two.
For Davidson right now, too, how can you get Foster Loyer going? He's coming back into the game. We know he can go on an individual run by himself to try and crack back into this lead. And as they see, they're switching to a 2-3 zone here to maybe just try to get VCU out of rhythm.
You got Ace Baldwin and Jayden Nunn coming back in at the next whistle as well. This one, no. The tip from Lawal, no. Rebound pulled in by Davidson. Cochera.
Interesting to see if they go back inside to Menenga here. That's where they've had the most success in this game offensively.
Huffman, there you go. They tried it, and it's knocked out. Back at the Siegel Center today in Richmond, Virginia. Here's David Shriver. What a game he's had. Helping that cause for the 12 of 20 from three-point range. He's hit 5 of them, Matt.
I think going into the game, too, you think about this, Mike. VCU was 289th in the country in three-point field goals made. Definitely not the case tonight.
Definitely not. Nunn has hit 4. He's 4 of 5. Shriver's 5 of 7. I mean, that's 9 for 12 right there combined with those two. Watkins has hit 2. Baldwin's hit 1. There's Nunn.
You talk about winning a championship, Mike, and really, really good teams. It's got to be someone different on a given night. We know what we're going to get out of Ace Baldwin every single night. We talked about they go how he goes, and he's playing extremely well tonight. But who's that second guy? Who's that third guy that steps up? And, hey, if it's not my night, I got to cheer on my teammates because that's what championship teams do.
Huffman gets it to Menenga. There's 7 to shoot. Double team coming out for the moment. And a nice passing here, and it's Reed Bailey that gets it from Watson for the dunk.
Well, VCU wasn't going to let Menenga that possession just come down and back his way into the post. They were a little bit late on the double team, which put them in rotations, which allowed for an easy basket for Davidson.
9 minutes gone by in the second half. 16-point lead for VCU. It's been up as high as 20. Now here's a 3. Baldwin.
When you go to the 2-3 zone, you can't forget about Ace Baldwin. They have a 2-guard front in the 2-3 zone, but someone's got to go out there and take Ace. Just a wide open shot at the top of the key. He's making that 9 times out of 10.
What do you do, though, Matt, when everybody's feeling it right now, right? Baldwin is shooting a high percentage. Nunn, Shriver. I mean, there's no possible way you can feel like you're going to be able to get on all 3 of those guys at once.
It's difficult. And, again, he tried to switch to that 2-3 zone as they go back inside to Menenga. That's what's been working for them as we approach 10 minutes here in the second half. Getting the ball inside to Menenga has been a positive as they switch back to man-to-man. See if they just got to get back to being physical and aggressive defensively for Davidson.
Yeah, Sam Menenga's playing very well. He's 7 of 9 from the field. He's got 18 points and 3 rebounds, and he had to deal with that foul trouble in the first half, which is why he had to sit. Here is Jayden Nunn, who's fired up, finally getting a bucket for his cause.
Well, we talked about him. Last game struggled a little bit, foul trouble. This game he's in foul trouble as well, but Coach Rhodes goes back to him. They go right inside. Big-time jump hook.
He's 2 for 2 from the field with 4 points. Huffman, a lot of action. Oh, count it, and foul. Really athletic there to stick with it and take the contact. Chance for the 3-point play for the junior.
You see it dumping inside to Deloach. He gets to his spots, elevates with that right-hand jump hook. He's a talented front court player. Said before he had 6 straight double-figure games as he picks up another foul and heads to the bench here. But you can see he's a little bit frustrated, but he's a very, very young, talented player.
Yeah, hey, like you were saying, as long as your team gets the win, right, and the other guys pick you up, I mean, certainly more disappointed in the last game because they were down by 20 and they ended up losing by 9. But here, you've got a 17-point lead, and it's okay. Don't get frustrated. The rest of your team's, picking it up here today.
Don't get frustrated. Cheer your team on. Be a great teammate here. And like you said, that's what championship do. Is Baldwin finds Kern on a back cut there for the layup. Baldwin's just so good. He beats you in so many different ways. He comes down and versus the 2-3 zone and knocks down the 3, and his eyes are always up. He's always handling the ball with his eyes up. It's a simple thing for young players, but when you watch him play, that's how he finds guys. His eyes are always up and seeing things around the floor.
Kern was the recipient of that pass from Baldwin.
As you can see, he's looking at Jones on the roll, and it's Kern on the back cut. So as he's coming off that ball screen and he's looking to hit the roll guy, his head is up to be able to see the back cut guy to make that play.
Baldwin's got 4 assists in this game. VCU has 16 assists on 26 made baskets. Foul was on Baldwin, his second. 19-point lead for the Rams. 9 minutes to play in the contest. Menenga calling for it again, or make it Reed Bailey that time. Instead, here is the jumper up and good by Watson.
Yeah, VCU, the one possession in this game where they just allowed the ball to get to the middle of the floor, and Watson just gets to his spots and elevates for the pull-up jumper there.
Menenga's actually out of the game right now, and Skogman is in for Davidson, probably trying to get him a little rest before the media. And here's a steal from Watson. Spinning by Baldwin. Blocked. They get it back. Now Foster Lawyer.
This is an important stretch here, Mike, for Davidson. Almost the 8-minute timeout, down 17. Big time charge there for VCU. That fires their team up. Coach Rhodes, his teams always play with a tenacity, with an effort. That's what they hang their hat on. Put your bodies, that's a game-winning play. Put your bodies in play right now. We're late in this basketball game. That is a game-winning play for VCU.
Josh Banks coming in on that defensive play there for VCU. Excellent job. Fallon Watson, his second for Davidson. Handoff Baldwin. Gets it inside. Brandon Johns. Count it, and a foul. Unreal.
But who set up Johns there? It was Ace Baldwin to get him the ball inside. That last offensive possession, he tried to skip it across the floor and ended up turning it over. Ball's back in his hands. He comes down this time and makes the right play. And, we talk about Brandon Johns and just his ability. And going back to that Duquesne game, you heard me say earlier in the broadcast, Coach Rhodes put him in an action where he could drive it from the perimeter. You see in this game, there was a conscious effort to go inside to him. He's such a talented player, can beat you in a lot of different ways, but trying to really go at this young front court for Davidson.
Talked to him yesterday, criminal justice major, graduate student, transfer out of Michigan. And he said he wants to be involved in that field whenever basketball is done for him. And this turnover. And he's played well for this VCU team. And the Rams are up 20 points, taking us to a timeout here at Richmond with under 8 to play. How about over the last 8 seasons? Of course, no tournament in 2020, but this kind of shows you the parity of the Atlantic 10. The regular season champion, the only time the regular season champ won the A10 tournament championship was in 2021 with St. Bonaventure. I mean, look at this.
It's a basketball league. And even just this environment today at VCU, you think about some of the environments and the home court advantages for teams like Dayton, like St. Bonaventure, where we'll be next week, but it's a basketball league and just such unbelievable parity.
Yeah, and think about it, on the right-hand side, the champion, it's a different champion over the last 7 tournaments that we've had.
And not only is there terrific talent from the players, but just talk about the coaches in this league, from Anthony Grant to Mark Schmidt to Mike Rhodes, just unbelievable, night in and night out. You're running against different Chris Mooney at Richmond, yet trying to prepare for the Princeton on a given night. It's a fun league, and the parity over the last few years. And think about this too, Mike. 112 non-conference wins this season. That ranks 3rd nationally, only behind the SEC and the Big Ten.
Yeah, it's impressive. A lot of basketball left to go here. Just getting underway in 2023 here in this conference matchup for VCU. And Davidson coming in, the Wildcats 2-1 in the conference, 1-1 for VCU. 20-point lead. We got 7.5 to go. Baldwin, the shot clock winding down. He hoists it up. That's going to be a violation.
How about that defense, though? They put Watson on Shriver, and now they are switching ball screens. So they're putting a guard on Shriver to be able to switch, where he's setting double pick and rolls now trying to pop back, and now they're switching and taking him away and really not even let him catch.
Matt, the only problem is it's a 20-point game. You know, that needed to kind of happen maybe a little bit earlier, right? I mean, that's all Monday morning quarterback now because of the way he's played, but I'm just saying that's maybe a little too late at this point.
No question.
Coming up on 7 minutes left. You saw the schedule, too, by the way. We got UMass and George Washington coming up right after us at 2 o'clock Eastern time here on USA. As Menenga goes inside and gets rejected, Shriver and company for VCU.
We can be critical of Davidson's offense. We know they haven't played their best, and especially Foster Lawyer with the 7 turnovers that he has. But give credit to VCU's defense and give credit to Ace Baldwin. Talk about a guy that's been through so much in his career. You talked about it earlier in terms of coming back from the Achilles. He's missed some games this season with both wrists being hurt. You can see the tape on his wrist now, and he's one of the best guards in this league. And Coach Rhodes said it. We talked about in the pregame. One of the toughest players he's ever coached.
Steal from Johns to Baldwin, back to Johns.
Ace Baldwin.
Well, the route is on here at VCU, and we talked about it earlier, Matt. You know, being in this building, the Siegel Center, one of the great environments in college basketball. It can get away from you in a hurry, and it kind of has here if you're Davidson today. 25-point lead for the Rams. They're playing so well this game.
Yeah, you look at Coach McKillop's going to go back and watch his tape and really point a lot to the turnovers offensively for his team. Watson hard drive there and get himself to the foul line, but that's really been the story, and it's not necessarily bad offense by David. It's really good defense by VCU. They followed the scouting report. Coach Rhodes talked about it yesterday. He wanted his team to come out here and play inspired, play with an effort, play with an edge. We're going to make mistakes, but we're going to fly around and we're going to play really hard, and that's what they've done throughout the first 34 minutes of this game, and now really just trying to close it out and close it out the right way. And I think if you're Coach McKillop and Davidson, what positives can we take these next 6 minutes? How do we improve as a team? He's got a young team, his young front court. We talked about Menenga and Lawyer, but what are the positives we can take? How can we learn and grow and get better from this, playing in this environment and playing in this game against a really athletic, physical team in VCU?
Traveling violation gets it back to Davidson. Agreed, and Coach McKillop, I'm sure, was thinking, hey, you're probably not going to hope that VCU is going to hit 14 threes in this game here, because that has not been their strong suit this season, but they're destroying it from the outside today. 14 and 22 at 64%. It's a season high. The most they had prior was 8. Twice earlier this year, so it's a complete aberration in this game today.
Well, no question. And think about this too, Mike, for Davidson. He's got 6 losses on the season. 3 of those 6 losses are by 1 possession. Crazy shot by Charlotte beats him as Lawyer with a tough finish in the lane. Struggled to get himself going in this game, but 3 out of those 6 losses are by 1 possession, so they've been right there in a lot of these games, and they'll grow from this. They'll get better and be ready for their next game.
That's a good point. You had the overtime loss to Charlotte by 2. We're talking about Davidson here. They lost to College of Charleston. We know how good they've been, this year, ranked in the top 25. They played Purdue, okay? They lost to Purdue by 8 points, so yeah, there's a lot going on here, and especially, like you said, with a new coach and just trying to take over from his father, Matt McKillop, and there's a lot of things going on.
Well, not to mention the guys that they lost last season as well. I mean, we got Menenga back, who hits this jump hook here back to his right hand. That's something that they've had success all game, but Brakovic seemed like he was a 5-year starter for Davidson and just caused defenses so many different problems. So talented last year. They got a new coach, new players. They've got young players. And this experience for them playing in this game, in this environment, they'll learn, they'll grow, they'll get better from this. And that's what you want, especially these next 5 minutes if you're Coach McKillop. And I thought he said something really, really interesting yesterday, too. And you talk about staffs, and Coach Rhodes highlighted his staff and his assistant coaches and how close he is with those guys. And you want to win with those guys. And when you don't have a great game, you go into the locker room, your staff is so important. Coach McKillop said this about his staff. They've got a lot of Davidson graduates on that staff. They want to protect what they built. If you talk about Coach McKillop's senior year in college, they were 16-0 in conference and played in the NCAA tournament. That's what really got this Davidson program on the map. And his staff knows what the culture is about, how to do it, and how to win. And that's important especially with a young team and a first-year head coach.
Lawyer up the floor, finds Huffman for the 2. And a timeout. 4:26 remaining in the contest. VCU 78, Davidson 61.
Always active, creating steals, jumping into pass. Grant, Shaka Smart, Will Wade, and obviously Coach Rhodes. It's how they want to play. They hang their hat on effort plays, and they're doing that tonight.
Well, what I've always liked about VCU and over the years, and you mentioned all those coaches spanning about 20 years now, is the identity that this team and this place has, right? I mean, you can recruit to that. You can teach to that. You bring in players to that. I mean, it's been pretty impressive for a long period of time.
Listen, when you come to VCU, you come here to play hard. And that's their idea. You know you're going to be in passing lanes. And you haven't seen VCU press a ton in this game, but we know they do it. That's part of their identity as well. And all those coaches we just mentioned, they did it as well.
Right. "22 straight winning seasons for VCU." We showed that earlier. And you just have to put that in perspective for a moment. There's only 7 teams in the nation that have had that streak going here. Now a takeaway and a foul as Reed Bailey got it for Davidson. They're going to call Nunn on the personal for VCU.
I think right now, if you're Coach Rhodes, stay poised, stay composed. Guys, we got to finish this thing out. We've got to finish it out. We got to finish it out the right way. Don't get away from what's been working for us, those effort plays, the toughness plays, the ball movement, the player movement. Let's not get away from that. Let's not take a breath right now. We've got to finish this out the right way. And like we talked about earlier with Davidson, hey, what positives can we take? Listen, there's a lot of possessions left in this basketball game right now. There's a lot of possessions. Just continue to play hard and try to crawl yourself, fight yourself back into this basketball game.
They had dug such a deep hole. It was 25 points, the deficit, with 6:27 remaining in this game. And right now, it's a 10-0 Davidson run. In a minute and 55, 3 turnovers over the last couple of minutes for VCU. It's down to 15.
And Coach Rhodes talked about this as they turn the ball over again here.
Watson kicks it back out. Lawyer. Now a 3-pointer. Huffman. It's blocked by DeLoach getting back on D, but Bailey's got it. It's inside for Menenga. He's been huge today. A little bit too strong. Tips it around, and it's picked up by Kern. Make it none for VCU.
And to finish that point, Mike, Coach Rhodes talked about it yesterday. In their win last year at Davidson, they had a big lead in the second half, and Davidson crawled all the way back and cut it to 1.
Last 2 meetings have been a 2-point ball game between these two, with a road team winning over the last 2 meetings. Baldwin is looking up at the clock here with 5 seconds to shoot. He takes it in strong, and he misses, and 2 guys are down on the deck for VCU. No call. It's a 5-on-3 for Davidson. Watson trying to get it underneath. It's intercepted, and Nunn has it.
It's a big play there. You fight your way back into the game. You've got it to 15. You've got a chance to cut it to 13. VCU had 2 defenders down on the ground underneath their own basket. Got to try to take advantage of that and get it even shorten the deficit even more.
Yeah, agreed. Kern, he's going to be held up and fouled on the baseline by Huffman.
That's one of those teaching points, too, for Coach McKillop that I'm sure he'll cut up and show on film. Hey, guys, listen, we're on a run. We're trimming into this lead. We've got a chance maybe to get it down to 13, 12 points. Get another stop. Now we can get it down to single digits. You just can't turn it over in that situation. And ultimately, that's the reason they found themselves in such a deep hole today. It's just been the turnovers.
And VCU should be in no hurry, right? They could use up some time here. Baldwin all the way up by half court. Under 3 minutes to go. Good defense by Huffman. It's kicked.
Like you said, VCU doesn't need to be in a hurry, but you also sometimes when you try to play the stall game and just get that clock to run out,
Agreed.
A lot of times you'll turn it over. You want to keep doing what you're doing. You want to keep executing your offense. You don't need to force anything in transition or force a shot up, but don't get away from what got you that 25-point lead.
Right. And why do you think that happens? I mean, you've coached for a number of years. You know what it's like. You've been around the game. Nice feed here inside. Jackson finishes.
Again, Ace Baldwin put the ball in his hands and let him close this game out. But I just think certain times it's human nature. Hey, listen, we've got a 25-point lead. We can take a breath here. we're going to be out of this arena here by 3 o'clock and have the rest of the day off.
Huffman gets back inside for Davidson. Baldwin's got 7 assists here, to your point about the unbelievable feeds that he's made in this game here today. And he's going to be fouled up by half court. Huffman tripped him.
Yeah, watch Baldwin here. His eyes are always up. And VCU's done a great job in this game as well, as when their defender turns their head of back cutting to the basket. Probably had 3 or 4 layups just on back cuts in this game.
Talked to Baldwin earlier before the game. And like you said, he had broke that bone in his right wrist, needed 2 screws. He missed 4 games. And then in a game when he came back, was trying to brace himself in a fall to not land on that right wrist, and he fell on his left. And he's a left-hander, so he, hurt that hand too. So he's been less than 100% for sure, but has battled through and had one heck of a game here today. Rebound Bailey. Baldwin's got 19 points, 7 assists. 7 of 12 from the field. He leads all scorers for VCU. Menenga's got 20 for Davidson. Count this bucket and a foul as Desmond Watson will go to the free throw line for the Wildcats.
I was just getting ready to say, Mike, Davidson, you don't want to rush, but you got to speed up a little bit here as time's ticking. We're underneath 2 minutes here, but got an opportunity to cut into this lead even more. And VCU has struggled. First, Davidson's press late in this game, taking care of the basketball, even going back to that last possession where Ace Baldwin got fouled. So Davidson's still right there. Plenty of possession still left in this game, but once they do get stops, they've got to get and play with a little more pace on offense to try and cut in this lead anymore.
Second game in a row, Deloach is fouled out. Coach Rhodes is some of it. I said, don't worry about it. And he was doing fine. He had 4 points in this game, was battling in there. That was a tough call for sure. Just, it's not in the right spot, but this game in favor of VCU by 12. The others have picked him up today.
I actually thought Ace Baldwin had some really good on-ball defense there and may have picked up a charge and then turns into an and one. But you see VCU, they've struggled versus press. As they turn it over again here, they got to do a much better job there.
Lawyer gets it over for Watson, puts up the 3. And a foul on the rebound. Who's this on? Is it on VCU or... Now it's going to be on Davidson.
I thought right there, and even though I know Watson's fully capable of knocking that shot down, as Foster Lawyer kicked it to him, Lawyer was wide open on the pass back. It seems like that just needed to be one more back to Lawyer there, because he would have been wide open for a 3-point shot.
Skogman called for the foul. You see him going to the bench. They really could have made this interesting here. I mean, there's still 1:43 to go, by the way. I mean, had it not been, Matt, a 25-point deficit, I mean, this could realistically be like a 2 or 3 or 4-point ball game right now.
That press by Davidson, give them credit. VCU has struggled taking care of the basketball. Couple possessions here or there for Davidson. We had the big turnover where they could have cut into it, and then that missed 3 right there. Coach McKillop will point back to that. Now, if you're VCU, Mike, guys, we got to take care of the ball. We've got to continue to defend without fouling and not give up threes, and we got to make free throws.
Brandon Johns Jr. for VCU. 14 points now for him today.
It just seems like it's almost been a quiet 14 too. He is a talented player and a really fun player to watch, and we highlighted it earlier, just in a different role, and sometimes it takes some time, and VCU's put together almost a complete game today.
Huffman for Menenga, get it stripped from behind. Jameer Watkins off to the races.
And may have done it, Mike. They got back to playing with that effort on the defensive end of the floor and not letting Davidson just run their offense, and it created a steal and got a basket. Know if Coach McKillop's going to point back to that stat, just points off turnovers, live ball turnovers. There's no defense for live ball turnovers, and it allows teams to just have easy baskets.
I'll tell you, one of the toughest guys here today as well is our cameraman, our good friend Sean Connolly down there underneath the basket. He just got crushed by Foster Lawyer, got right into him, but he got right back up. He's got the camera right back on the shoulder, and he's ready to go. Great work as always, Sean, down on our basket to our right side.
Talk about a Hall of Fame play there by the cameraman, no question about it.
Jim Porter's on the other end with Jeff Powers and Kevin Hornsby. Great work today, guys. We appreciate it. And underneath here is the drive for Desmond Watson for Davidson. 14-point game, though. We're under a minute to play here today in Richmond.
You know, we talked about Coach McKillop and cutting this film up, and there's things that he'll take and go back and teach his team. I think Coach Rhodes is going to take some of this last really, 4 or 5 minute stretch where Davidson's been able to cut into this lead. Hey, guys, when a team's pressing us late in the game, we have a big lead. We got to do a much better job taking care of the basketball, getting to our spots. If something's taken away versus the press, where's the next spot we got to look to make a play to get that ball across half court? He's going to cut this film up as well. And it's outside of the start of the game and this last 3 to 4 minute stretch. For VCU, almost a complete game by Coach Rhodes and his team.
Following in his father's footsteps after 33 years as head coach, Bob McKillop, and 14 years on staff as an assistant for Matt. But there's nothing like, being in the head seat, that's for sure. And he's going to do a really nice job. He already has here. But not today in this game for Davidson. Not going to be able to pull it off now with just 40 seconds to go and down by 16 points. But a valiant effort here to the finish. And VCU, as the crowd starts to rise to their feet here at the Siegel Center today.
Mike, great response after the Duquesne game. I know Coach Rhodes and his team, not just Coach Rhodes' his staff, but just the players, they wanted to respond and respond the right way as Shriver knocks down another one.
That's the exclamation point here today with Shriver with 6 threes. And the easy one again back inside for Watson, but VCU is going to come away with a win here today. 89-72 the final in this one. The Rams get it done.
You got it. We talked about the three-point shooting as Shriver knocks down another one. It's great to see him get it going. If they can continue that moving forward in Atlantic 10 play, he just gives them another weapon out there offensively. But really, I felt like this game started on the defensive end of the floor for VCU. They ramped up the pressure. They were active. They played with that effort. Great response after the Duquesne game.
19 points and 8 assists for Ace Baldwin. He joins us now. Congratulations. Outstanding effort today. How'd you feel out there?
I felt great. Appreciate you. Thank you.
How about finding your teammates today? We highlighted you a bunch, not only with your scoring, but the way you were distributing the ball today.
Coach talked about it a lot just in practice. Just move the ball. And also paint touches. Once we touch the paint, we're going to get good shots every time at the basket.
Ace, there's some terrific guards in this league. You're obviously one of them. Foster Lawyer on the other night. Just talk about the guard play in this league and how you got to bring it every single night for this VCU team.
Yeah, that's exactly what we work on consistently every day in practice. And coach is real big on defense, and I take big pride in that. And the last game, we wasn't too good with it, so I had to bring the juice on defense to get us going.
He talked about you being one of the toughest players he's ever coached. You've battled some injuries. I know you've battled some injuries this year as well. Just talk about the resilience, even for you individually, to come out here and play a game like that.
I just got the injury. I get real frustrated, but coach, all the coaching staff, even Coach Roos, even the trainer, they keep pushing me every day. Even when I'm out, I just keep pushing, and I'm happy. I'm thankful for them.
Ace, last thing is it's a long season. People don't quite understand the grueling nature of this, year in college basketball in general. How would you assess what's going on right now with your team, night in and night out, and what you guys are capable of this year?
There's a couple of new players, so we just now figuring it out and how to play with each other. But I think it's coming along real great, and as you can see tonight, what we could do.
All right, great job today. Congratulations. Good luck the rest of the way.
No, thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Congrats, man.
Thank you.